Hey there. So I just got back from a walk and I have a new lesson from nature. And this one is related to democracy. So in the lake, there's a lake not far from here. And it's this huge lake. It's 26 miles long and it's in upstate New York. So it's probably like a good, few hundred miles from Canada. So I'm guessing that it's a pretty common place for Canada geese to kind of stop off on their way down south. That it's just starting to get cold. So there's like hundreds, like flocks of geese just spread out along the shore of the lake. And I'm watching, and this other kind of huge flock comes flying in, and it's making a racket and a half, right? And it lands in the water kind of near the other flocks of geese. And they're screaming, and they're, yelling at each other. So I hung out for a minute, and I'm sort of watching this whole like dynamic thing. And what I noticed was there are a couple of geese that make noise, right? There are a couple of geese with their big long necks and they're from across the pond at each other. And other ones are like dropping their heads and kind of going at each other and flapping in almost like attack mode, more like physical aggression than just noise. Others are just kind of like hanging out in the periphery, just kind of swimming away. Others kind of stand the ground but don't really make any noise. And it has me thinking about that maybe kind of democracy isn't a human-only experience. And what I mean by that is, so here's this like population of geese with the same intent, right? They all want to, in a safe fashion, go south, right? They all just want to get together and find a leader that can take them in the direction that they all want to go. They all want to get to the same place. They all want to get to safety for the winter. And yet there's, a flock that just came in and they had a leader who got them this far, right? Like they had that one goose in the front that was like kind of showing them the way. And it's a team, I get it. They change sometimes. But by and large, like they felt good about the leadership team they had that kind of brought them to this point. And I'm sure the other geese that were sitting in the lake hadn't been there before, and they too got to that lake through an organized team that made a lot of sense for them. And so now they're in this position where it probably makes the most sense for them to go together. And that's, I think, the natural way of things, that like the group gets bigger and they head down together because that's just safer. But which of those leadership teams is going to be the one to take over? And within the geese, there are angry ones who make a lot of noise and yell and scream. There are others who are violent and want to attack. There are others who just kind of sit in the periphery. Interestingly, every so often, there's this group of like 5 or 6 geese that are just like, we're out of here. And they just take off on their own. And like, they're just like, they're not even going to get involved in the politics of geese. But anyway, so I think, the message for me was that, I've been feeling, certainly, and I think everyone has, just sort of stressed and anxious for these months just about all of this decision making and lobbying for stuff. And sorry, that's my phone. And lobbying for position, and just maybe it's not unnatural. Maybe it's natural for groups to struggle about who is best to take them where they need to be. And also, however, the destination is the same. They all want to get to the same place. And when I think about us and humanity, and especially here in the United States, we all want to be safe. We want our health. We want our children to be safe. We want education. We want to feel financially secure. We don't want to be judged by superficial things, but for who we are. So that's a common place that we all want to get to. And it's just the leadership team of how we're going to get there. And I think we're going to go. The geese are going to fly. They are going to leave this lake and they are going to head south, and someone's going to be in front. And there's just something about that brings me comfort to think that nature trusts that process. And so I think that we can too. Put a mask on. Wash your hands. Things are getting bad out there, and they're getting bad because we're tired of it. And I know that we're all tired of it, but we need to power through. So put a mask on, wash your hands, keep your distance. Don't go into buildings with people if you don't need to. We'll get through this. We'll come out the other side, no matter how it all ends up. So be well, and I will talk with you again soon.